Next, on Current News, the ballots have been cast in the city's mayoral primary, but we still don't know which Democrat will be on the ticket in November, and we may not know for weeks. Plus, President Biden has a plan to tackle crime while gun violence spikes nationwide. Vice President Kamala Harris is heading down to the U.S.-Mexico border. Catholic school students took the field after hitting home runs in the classroom.
It's been an incredibly difficult year, but top students in the Diocese of Brooklyn were celebrated here in Coney Island. I'm Emily Druby, and that's ahead.
And a subway serenade returns to New York City stations. The news starts right now. Still no winner in the Democratic primary for mayor, and we probably won't have one until the middle of next month. Good evening, I'm Christine Persichetti. Your votes are being counted, but it's going to take a while. New York City trying out ranked choice voting for the first time, so that means the final tally may not be known until the week of July 12th. But even though the Board of Elections hasn't made it official yet, there is an apparent winner in the GOP primary.
Don't you think it's about time we have somebody who represents average, everyday people?
Curtis Sliwa may get his chance to do just that. It looks like the founder of the Guardian Angels will be the Republican candidate for New York City mayor. It seems he easily won the primary on Tuesday, getting nearly 69% of the vote, defeating Fernando Mateo, who received about 27%. Sliwa spoke with me last month about his plans for the city if elected.
Even though I'm strong on law and order, there's no candidate who is more compassionate about those that we don't care about any longer. The animals, the emotionally disturbed, and the homeless.
On the Democratic side, things are a bit more complicated. The city is now using ranked choice voting, and since none of the candidates won 50% of the vote, the counting will continue. But as of early Wednesday morning, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams has the lead with nearly 32% of the vote in round one. Council to current Mayor Bill de Blasio, Maya Wiley, came in second with around 22% of the vote, and with just over 19%, former Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia is third. Former presidential candidate Andrew Yang, who was in fourth place during this first round of voting, has dropped out. So now that New Yorkers' first choice votes have been counted, the last place candidate will be eliminated. If that candidate was your first choice, your second choice vote will now be counted and added to that candidate's total. That cycle will continue until we have a winner. The new mayor will have a fairly new city council. All 51 seats are up for grabs in the November election, and more than half of the incumbents are not running. Progressive groups are hoping to get a more left-leaning council, and at least a couple of their candidates came out on top during the primary election. One more thing to keep in mind, the Board of Elections received about 220,000 requests for absentee ballots, and they're not due until next week. Whoever succeeds Bill de Blasio as mayor will have to address concerns about safety and increased gun violence in the city. According to the NYPD, there have been more than 630 shootings so far this year. That's a 64% increase compared to this time last year, when the city reported roughly 390 incidents. Police are investigating a shooting that left one person dead and another seriously injured in Upper Manhattan. The NYPD released this footage of the Monday morning incident. It shows three armed men running up to a BMW in Inwood and shooting the driver and passenger. One of the suspects then hopped into the vehicle and stole the victim's watch, ring, and chain. The driver of the BMW, 34-year-old Milton Grant, was pronounced dead at the scene. His fiancée says she never imagined this could have happened to him.
My fiancé was a great father. He was a family man. He put his kids first and his family first. And now I have to tell my little ones that their father is not returning home anytime soon. We talked about having forever together, about raising our kids. We just put them in sports. And so now I'm thinking, how am I supposed to take them to practice without their dad accompanying me? How am I going to do family vacations without him?
Police have not made any arrests in the shooting. Despite the spike in shootings, the number of assaults in the subway system is finally slowing down. Transit police reported just 14 felony assaults within the first 2 weeks of June, a dramatic drop from the 36 recorded during the first 2 weeks of May. It comes after the city increased police presence underground. President Biden is announcing his plan to combat rising violent crime across the country. The administration's main focus will be tackling gun violence in the upcoming summer months. The president held a private meeting with Attorney General Merrick Garland, local officials, law enforcement, and community leaders earlier today. The president plans to sign executive actions aimed at reducing gun crimes and is calling on Congress to impose sweeping gun control reform. Meantime, Vice President Kamala Harris is heading to the border. White House officials say the journey is part of her efforts to address the root causes of migration. The announcement follows weeks of criticism by Republican colleagues for not visiting the area. She'll be at the border days before former President Donald Trump will be. He plans to meet with Texas Governor Greg Abbott and a group of House Republicans there.
Brenda?
A long line for food in Brooklyn, but these meals aren't for customers. They're for those in need. On the second day of Religious Freedom Week, we are looking to our Catholic social services, which are working overtime to help those hit hard by the pandemic. St. John's Bread and Life in Brooklyn is one of them, feeding tens of thousands of New Yorkers in need. Currents News' Jessica Easthope reports on their efforts in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nearly a year and a half into the pandemic, and the lines at St. John's Bread and Life still stretch the block.
Leroy? Yeah.
As people get back to normal, hoping to leave the crisis behind, Bread and Life is working overtime to make sure those in need are not forgotten.
Food unites us, and whether you are 90 years old or 30 years old, we all have to eat.
Over the last year, Bread and Life has fed 77,000 people, handed out 3 million meals, and sustained food pantries in 24 other communities across Brooklyn.
The thing I'm proudest of, we have never turned anyone away.
They've mastered the bread, but what about the life? Now, as the organization moves from crisis to recovery, the people who need Bread and Life for social services are also lining up.
They know that once they come to us, we're going to fight 100%.
St. John's Bread and Life is a one-stop shop, not only providing food, but help with benefits, rent assistance, and medical needs, hoping to enrich every aspect of life.
Through your work and through your clients, it makes a whole lot of difference. It makes your life worth living, actually, helping others.
The pandemic tested St. John's Bread and Life's mission and challenged its staff. They proved no one was above pitching in.
The first time I saw Sister Marie pushing a pallet jack, I knew we've done it. I saw our security staff in there packing bags. This is what it's all about. It's teamwork, because it could be any one of us on that line, and we all know that.
The operation has tripled, and now there's no turning back. St. John's Bread and Life is ready for anything. In Bedford-Stuyvesant, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
And still ahead in this newscast, we talk about another Catholic group that's been on the front lines through the toughest times for humanity, from a global pandemic to natural disasters. The Vice President of Government Relations for Catholic Charities USA, Anthony Granato, joins us. That's still ahead in this newscast. Take me out to the ball game. Students filled the Brooklyn Cyclones Stadium for Catholic Schools Night, all to celebrate home runs they hit in the classroom. Top students were honored on the field for their grades. The event was sponsored by the Diocese and DeSales Media Group, the parent organization of Currents News. Emily Druby was at the field for the game.
They're in the stands, but Michael Sheehan and Kaylee Cruz are the real winners at this baseball game.
It just feels really nice to be here.
The two snagged the top academic spots at their Catholic Academy, a difficult task during an impossible year.
It's just so exciting to be with my classmate, to be honored, to have a medal and everything.
Gym classes weren't normal and all of our classes weren't normal, but really just making the best of it with my friends was probably my favorite part.
Making the best of it, that's what the pandemic forced students everywhere to do. but not on Catholic Schools Night. Instead, at the Brooklyn Cyclone Stadium, there was laughter. A welcome sight, explains Associate Superintendent Joan McMaster.
Being able to be here tonight all together and not have social distance and really celebrate with their friends is really such a tribute and honor to them.
55 valedictorians and salutatorians from primary schools across the Diocese of Brooklyn.
Another very important person in the Diocese of Brooklyn was also celebrated. Ed Wilkinson got his very own bobblehead and even threw out the first pitch.
Brooklyn is back and our event is back, and we're really happy that we could get as many people in here tonight for this event and give the kids the recognition that they deserve.
Ed is the retired editor of The Tablet. The paper's parent company, DeSales Media Group, sponsored the event, which is in its third year. Gina Kranchich runs it.
A public way of showcasing the excellence of our Catholic schools and how our children are working so hard and graduating this year in a very difficult year. We're very happy to do that.
DeSales is also the parent company of Currents News. A night to honor the students, also to send them a message, explains Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello.
We're proud of them, we're proud of what they have done, and we want to, make sure that they have a great future and they know that they always have a family to come back to.
Also to honor the family that supports them, like Liana Salage's parents.
They're my biggest inspiration, and they helped me throughout the whole year.
A home run night to top off a home run school year. In Coney Island, Emily Drewby, Currents News.
And congratulations to all of the students. There's a lot more news headed your way. The White House admits it will not reach its vaccine goal by the 4th of July as possible health issues linked to the shot are investigated. Plus, subway stations are getting their soundtrack back.
It's been over a year since the New York City subway system has had music ring out, and now it's finally back. I'm Emily Drewby, and coming up, I'll introduce you to one of the performers.
And why is the Pope shaking hands with SpiderMan? We have the answer coming up.
There are now some big changes to the Tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
The pandemic forced New York City and subway stations to go silent as shutdowns took the daily rhythm out of the streets. But now they're coming alive again as performers provide a subterranean soundtrack for commuters. Currents News' Emily Drewby takes us underground.
Listen closely. Through the unmistakable sounds of the morning commute, music can be heard, a welcome sound. That has been missed for 14 months.
I just get out of the train and was people being loud, and this is like, oh my God, this is what I miss about New York.
It's so much more relaxing and soothing and, welcoming because of the music.
The MTA restarting its Music Under New York program, which was shut down during the pandemic. Reopening some of New York's most populated stages to about 350 performers, including Egonom.
Coming back here, there's a different feel. And now to have that option to say, you know what, I'm going to sign up, it's something that I'm definitely looking forward to.
A delicate dance. His fingers move seamlessly across the trumpet, a gift he's been perfecting since 5th grade. The instrument was his solace after moving to New York from Nigeria.
I used to get teased for my English. And so the band class was the one class that everybody had something to their mouth, so nobody was teasing me. And it became my safe haven.
A safe haven and a beautiful gift that eventually became a job. That was threatened when the pandemic hit.
It was rather tough, especially financially. Our industry was literally shut down because we were predicated on being intimate with people.
Egonom played in Central Park and held live stream concerts for 52 weeks straight, never giving up on his great love.
Music has that way of just bringing us, life.
Through his secular and non-secular songs, the Christian man is bringing life and a smile to commuters.
Hearing performers in the New York City subway system has always been a treat, but now it's an inspiration, a sign that the city is healing. From Port Authority, Emily Drewby, Currents News.
Health experts are investigating reports of rare heart issues seen in young adults after getting vaccinated. According to the CDC, more than 300 cases of heart inflammation have been reported among the millions of teens and young adults who have received either Moderna's or Pfizer's vaccine. A CDC committee is meeting for an in-depth review of the cases, but still recommends everyone 12 years old and older get vaccinated. It looks like President Biden will miss his July 4th goal of getting at least one COVID vaccine shot in the arms of 70% of U.S. adults. But the numbers are close enough that the White House is celebrating. Nick Valencia reports.
The U.S. poised to fall short of the president's vaccination goal.
So as to our goal of 70% for all adults, we're going to hit it for adults 27 and older.
After weeks of pushing, President Joe Biden's July 4th aim to get 70% of adults vaccinated with at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, the White House is moving the goalposts. The COVID response coordinator now claiming July 4th wasn't Biden's goal. It was an aspiration.
We set 70% of adults as our aspirational target, and we have met or exceeded it for most of the adult population. This is a remarkable achievement.
But that's not how the president has been describing it over the past few weeks.
Our goal by July 4th is to have 70% of adult Americans with at least one shot. Getting 70% of adults their first shot by July the 4th. Get to 70% of adult Americans vaccinated.
Right now, according to the CDC, just over 65% of American adults have had at least one dose. Even incentives like free cars, free beer, and million-dollar lotto prizes were not enough to get more shots in arms. Now the White House is focusing on younger Americans, 18 to 26.
Even if we do sail past the 70% goal, we're still going to be vaccinating people on July 5th, on July 7th, on July 10th.
Currently, less than 2% of adults under 30 are getting vaccinated each week.
That was Nick Valencia reporting. The pandemic has wounded everyone in some way, so Pope Francis has called on the church to help heal the world. And Catholic Charities USA has stepped up to serve. Joining us now is Anthony Granato, Vice President of Government Relations at Catholic Charities USA. And Anthony, millions of people lost their jobs at the height of the pandemic, causing the unemployment rate to surge to 14.8%. That's the highest it's been in over 70 years. Unemployment rates are still very high today. As of last month, we were at 5.8%. So how has Catholic Charities USA been helping?
Yes, thank you for the invitation to be with you today. Catholic Charities USA and the Catholic Charities Network around the country has been responding by providing the important wraparound services that people depend on if they're unemployed, whether that's behavioral counseling, whether that's addiction services, help finding a job, unemployment counseling, housing assistance, and nutrition. We've also been advocating with the federal government that they need to provide unemployment insurance and other supports in some of the federal CARES Act dollars and COVID relief funds that we've seen provided by Congress.
Yeah, and as a result of those job losses, the Census Bureau reported that nearly 1 in 5 renters are behind on their rent. That means 30 to 40 million people are at risk of losing their homes when the eviction moratorium is lifted. Talk to us a little bit about the work you've done to help keep people off the streets.
Yeah, right now we're currently advocating that the administration continue the eviction moratorium. We see that long-term housing issues are a very serious challenge for our country. Addressing homelessness and affordable housing is a signature priority for Catholic Charities USA. So not only in federal policy, but recently we teamed up with the Felician Sisters to establish what is known as the CCUSA Francis Fund to make grants available to all agencies for eviction mitigation at the community level. We're trying to keep people housed. As of now, we have 163 grants out to the charities agencies totaling worth about $1.6 million.
Wow.
So between direct advocacy for federal response and the work we're doing with religious sisters, we're trying to raise the issue of homelessness and affordable housing in this country.
That's great to hear. And to add insult to injury, wildfires raged through the country last year, causing even more displacement and hardship for people. Tell us about your agency's disaster relief efforts.
Yeah, Catholic Charities USA is a key partner with FEMA and the federal government in general to respond to disasters. We're a disaster responding agency. And we've seen this with the earthquakes in Puerto Rico, where we deployed people, staff, and volunteers. But with the COVID pandemic, we've also seen how that's impacted people at the local level. But this situation has been exacerbated by wildfires, by droughts, and we've had to respond. And we've done so by providing close to $1.5 million for states like California, Oregon, Washington. We've been providing PPE, personal protection equipment, face mask shields. We've been providing things like such as hand sanitizer and other essentials for people who are serving on the front lines. And we've donated over 60 pallets of diapers and baby food and deploying people to assist where these wildfires and droughts are happening. So yeah, Catholic Charities is there. The Charities Network has stepped up to help people in need.
All right, Anthony Granato, Vice President of Government Relations at Catholic Charities USA. Thanks for the work that you do.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Stay with Currents News all this week for continuing coverage of Religious Freedom Week. On Thursday, Emily Drewby will look at the Equality Act and how the bill could infringe on the rights of people of faith. Again, that's tomorrow on Currents News. 2 century-old Catholic churches built on Indigenous lands in Canada burned to the ground Monday. The first fire destroyed the Sacred Heart Church on Penticton Indian Band land, and the second was at St. Gregory's Church about an hour away. Authorities are calling the incidents suspicious as both fires come about a month after 215 Indigenous children were discovered buried under a former Catholic-run residential school. Still to come on Currents News, it's a new addition at an old amusement park. Why this ride has symbolic meaning. And no Spidey sense needed here, but a Spidey mask came in handy. We'll listen in as the Pope meets a superhero. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. Just in time for summer, Coney Island is getting a brand new roller coaster with a very appropriate name. The Phoenix will be rising from the ashes of a turbulent year for Dino's Wonder Wheel and the amusement park industry as a whole. The almost 70-foot tall coaster will take flight on the 4th of July, sitting right next to the famous wheel. The family that owns the park decided on the name because the ride represents a shining beacon of fun in the darkness of the pandemic. Pope Francis meets thousands of people a year, but one person at his most recent General Assembly is gaining attention. New York's very own SpiderMan, the web slinger, got to personally speak with the Pope and even gave a mask as a gift to the pontiff. But under the mask wasn't Peter Parker. It was an Italian man named Mattia Villardita. He wears the costume and visits children in the hospital all over the country. During lockdowns, he made more than 1,400 video calls to sick children. How nice. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.